Let's listen in from the cemetery. And so bagpipers have set the stage for what we're about to see at St. Joseph Cemetery in Council Bluffs. We know the casket is there, and the body of Kerrie Orozco is at her final resting place, getting set for the ceremony that is to follow. Our reporter there, Becky Ray, has said they're going to try and get as many cars that are in the procession there as possible before commencing the ceremony at the gravesite. And there's a wider view of where it will transpire and where it will take place over the next, say, half hour or so. As people crowd into the cemetery. So you're seeing at home what we're seeing here at KMTV Action 3 News, the tribute and the remembrance of the fallen Omaha police officer in what is the final phase of this ceremony today.
We just heard the bagpipe and drum corps playing music leading into the cemetery, and now we're seeing people as they start to file in. Just in front of them is the hearse, so they are surrounding that at this moment. And as you can see toward the upper part of your screen, as people are starting to get out of their vehicles and come down as part of this ceremony begins. Again, they are going to be waiting for people for quite some time, but they do have some different moments. We did hear the drum corps playing and the bagpipes playing. There will be a 21-gun salute. We did see the mounted patrol out there, so a lot of ceremonious things going on before her burial and as part of her burial.
Once again, logistically, it's going to be very interesting to see how they do this. As you can see, the cars have stopped, so the flow of traffic has hit a stop point, if you will, and at some point that will back up onto presumably Canesville and potentially West Broadway, and you wonder if all the cars will then come to a halt, and people, knowing that the ceremony is underway or about to get underway at St. Joseph Cemetery, will simply get out and walk and perhaps line or surround the burial site. We're watching to see how this all plays out as we get close to the final chapter of this tribute.
And we are waiting to see if everyone will be coming in, because again, there are a lot of people from different agencies who came to show their support. We do not know if we'll wait for all of them to file in. Here are some of the vehicles still making their way down Broadway in Council Bluffs. You can see the No Frills Supermarket right there on the marquee. It says Support Blue. So as people are coming in, they are seeing that, seeing some umbrellas up as well. The rain has been off and on this morning. For most of the procession, it seemed to subside, and it seemed to be that there was no rain here in Omaha. There is no rain. But look at this. This is downtown Omaha. The procession is still underway. Papillion vehicle right there. Different agencies still making their way. Again, we've been told 453 marked cars as part of the procession.
Pretty amazing that when you think about it. This is 10th and Douglas. Still in Omaha, cars still part of the procession. No rain there, no umbrellas, just flags, waves of support for our everyday heroes, the police officers who are attending this funeral. Then on the other side in Council Bluffs, just a few hundred, if not 1,000 feet away or so, there it is. It appears to be raining as the procession arrives at St. Joseph Cemetery. So a tale of two climates, if you will, separated by the Missouri River. As this procession snakes from Omaha all the way into Council Bluffs and ultimately the cemetery and Kerrie Orozco's final resting place.
And we are seeing all of those vehicles as they make their way. Again, that's on Broadway. The procession started at the church, St. John's, on the Creighton campus. It then joined with folks who were at the CenturyLink Center, which was an overflow area for people wanting to watch the funeral. So people have been joining this procession, people from all over, and this is the final resting place. This is St. Joseph Cemetery in Council Bluffs. And you can see people are lining the area there.
Yeah, and that is our vantage point that the police department has allotted for the media. So this will be the picture that you will see over the next 15 minutes, half hour, 45 minutes, as the salute and the flag presentation takes place. I'm looking off in a distance, as you can see, dignitaries and police officials are arriving. And now getting out of their cars, some with umbrellas, to walk over to the gravesite and prepare for this ceremony as they lay Kerrie Orozco to rest.
Some of the dignitaries we're seeing: Omaha Police Chief Todd Schmaderer, Omaha Mayor Gene Stothert, I should say, we were seeing at the funeral, and presumably they are making their way over here. Senator Ben Sasse, Congressman Brad Ashford, the governors of both Iowa and Nebraska. And I think we're looking at, I believe that is the mayor right there standing in blue, Mayor Gene Stothert, standing in blue as people are filing into the cemetery.
Meteorologist Jim Flowers is here with us. And Jim, I mentioned that it's not raining in Omaha at 10th and Douglas, but it is in Council Bluffs at the cemetery. What can you fill us in on weather-wise?
Well, Craig, as you mentioned, it's kind of a hit or miss, but there is a pretty good shower passing just north of the actual St. John's, and it's heading over toward the Bluffs. It appears that will impact the ceremony there. As we go through, we'll take a little tighter view of what's been happening. We've got a pretty decent shower just north of TD Ameritrade, passing very close to her, just north of Broadway into Council Bluffs. Not much showing up yet into that area, but we do expect that there will be probably a shower. And in fact, you can see the umbrellas are out. Shower will be arriving there and probably lasting for about, maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes. It appears to be a fairly quick mover, so it won't last very long. Craig, Jen?
All right, Jim, thanks very much for the update on that, which is why you see the umbrellas at St. Joseph Cemetery. We watch together as police officers arrive to pay their final respects, their final farewell to fallen officer Kerrie Orozco, killed in the line of duty last Wednesday. As you can see, they are finding space around the casket for those close to her. I think I just saw Governor Pete Ricketts off to the right, and other dignitaries as well. And they will be, for lack of a better term, flooding into this area as the procession arrives from West Broadway onto Canesville and then onto the cemetery grounds. The cars have now stopped. The police officers, the dignitaries, the family, the friends are now getting out to get into an organized formation here for the final farewell.
I noticed some people holding blue flowers. Likely they will be tossed over the casket before she is buried. Sprinkle holy water as well, as is customary with a Catholic service. You're noticing a lot of people wearing blue as well, so people honoring that support blue. A couple things with the flowers. So we saw the blue flowers, some people there by the grave holding on to. We know the women of the Omaha Police Department, it was a rather touching moment. Each one of them took a blue flower in St. John's during the funeral and went up the aisle and dropped it in a basket. And the basket was then overflowing with blue flowers, all from the women. There were some moments too where they were interacting with Hector, her widower, and touching moments, hugs, tears. But we're seeing people here now with those blue flowers. Also, Omaha police officers are wearing white carnations. It's pointed down toward their heart. They've been painted red in the middle, and that red is to signify the sacrifice that Officer Kerrie Orozco made.
The police chief noting earlier there has been a lot of pain and emotion ever since she was gunned down last Wednesday. We saw a lot of that last night at the vigil at St. John's. They also had a screen at the Sokol auditorium where people watched in an overflow area. And as the eulogies were delivered, there were lots of tears. And again this morning, as police officers, her family, and close friends went into St. John's and listened to the not only police chief but the Archbishop as well, and the priest from St. Joseph Church in South Omaha, Father William Bond, tell us a little bit about the life of Kerrie Orozco. And right now, this is really the final chapter. And as you can see, people are just extending their umbrellas as they stand in formation, ready to say goodbye. And this has been one incredible sight to see after another this morning. It started with the massive Christian burial about 3 hours ago at 11 a.m. But even before that, we were on the air. KMTV was at 10 a.m. And we saw people starting to line the procession route at 10th and Douglas. We started to see people file into the church, file into the CenturyLink Center, the overflow crowd there. So this has been really a 4-hour tribute to a beloved fallen Omaha police officer.
And we are seeing now the rain is coming down very heavy. You can see the umbrellas are up. Jim Flowers said that it shouldn't last too long. So people are filing in. We saw people out when it was raining earlier today along the procession route, and they were saying that they'll stand out there. That's just fine. So I bet that is the mood of everyone out there, that even though the rain is overhead, they are here to honor Officer Kerrie Orozco. And they are still lining up and finding their way there. You can see all of the officers in their formal uniform with their white gloves on, lining the street right there. And then family and close friends would be close to the graveside. As you can see, the chairs set up to those chairs, I'm guessing, would be for her immediate family.
2 o'clock in Omaha, you're watching KMTV Action 3 News. The funeral for fallen officer Kerrie Orozco. The procession has arrived at the cemetery at St. Joseph's in Council Bluffs. Police officers, her family, those close to her, have now aligned near her final resting place, where a ceremony will begin momentarily. There are more than 450 cars and vehicles that are part of the procession. The procession has arrived via Canesville Boulevard, prior to that, West Broadway, and back into Omaha over the Missouri River at 10th and Douglas. It has all led to this. And so we await. Here's a picture from Broadway and 6th. As you can see, police lights flashing as the procession continues. It is just overwhelming in terms of how long it is, the number of people that have turned out to say goodbye on this rainy Tuesday afternoon.
And you can see that shot in Council Bluffs. It's essentially come to a stop as they are making their way into the cemetery area and, of course, finding a place to park logistically as they make their way into St. Joseph's, and then they all come and are lining up. So this procession will be going on for a while as they are all filing in to the cemetery right now.
Once again, you have police officers from all over the country. We've learned from New York, as far away as California. Our Megan Matthews talked to officers from Chicago, Minneapolis, Indianapolis last night, various states coming to honor one of their brethren, one of their fallen comrades. The overflow crowd was at the CenturyLink Center during the massive Christian burial at St. John's this morning. That was pretty crowded as well, as officers in the overflow crowd brought their spouses as well, all to honor the 29-year-old officer who lost her life in the line of duty in Omaha last Wednesday, all leading up to what is her funeral today, her celebration of life, if you will, her remembrance, her memorial. There are many synonyms you can use, but one thing's for sure, it is a huge, huge outpouring for this beloved officer who will be sorely and sadly missed.
Omaha police officer Kerrie Orozco, a 7-year veteran of the force, 29 years old. She was a wife, a mother, a mentor, an officer in this community. And we are seeing the legacy she will have on the nation and certainly on the Omaha community. Just look at the masses of people who are turning out to honor her. We've been seeing it throughout the day. Young people lining the streets, holding flags as this procession continues through Council Bluffs, making its way into St. Joseph Cemetery. Again, the funeral was in Omaha. She served the people of Omaha as an Omaha police officer. Her burial is in Council Bluffs. She was a native of Walnut, Iowa, a small town. A lot of people there are missing her as well. Again, the rain is coming down very hard there right now.
More and more police officers arriving, what would be off to our right. But we also just saw several police officers moved over to the casket area, and it looks like, I'm just speculating here from the desk, it looks like they might get started at the gravesite. As the rain gets heavier, at some point you might wonder if they're going to just get started, as opposed to just waiting for everybody, because you do have the family out there. You do have those close to her at the casket. Jim, it looks like it's really coming down in buckets.
We've had one shower. Actually, this one is beginning to come to an end, but there'll be a bit of a break, but there's a few more that are actually back toward the west again. Actually, these are almost stronger. I'm going to move the radar over so you can see it in your frame here. But you get over toward downtown Omaha, just moving into downtown Council Bluffs. So although they will catch a bit of a break here, this one will end fairly quickly. There is another moderate to heavy shower that's going to be trailing that here pretty quickly. Doesn't indicate lightning with it, but they're going to be in some off and on rain here for a while.
All right, Jim, stand by, please, and keep us posted as we watch together from St. Joseph Cemetery in Council Bluffs, the burial of Kerrie Orozco. And as you can see, just by the minute, more and more police officers are arriving, getting out of their cars that were part of the procession and now walking into the cemetery. This is our vantage point from the cemetery, and you can see the gallery, if you will, filling up across the street from the casket, as well as these officers that you see walking here appear to be going to the other side. And there are many, many more as part of the procession that went up from 10th and Douglas over the 480 bridge into Council Bluffs from Omaha, up Broadway to Canesville, and now to the cemetery.
Early estimates were 7,000 people were expected to attend services for Officer Kerrie Orozco. There was a vigil and visitation yesterday, a visitation for those who knew her, and then a visitation for the general public, and then a vigil, and then today's funeral, and it's 7,000 people expected. So we are seeing that in the procession too, more than 450 vehicles. If you're just tuning in now, the special report on KMTV, it is now 2:06. Her funeral was at 11 this morning. During that funeral, we heard from Police Chief Todd Schmaderer, who spoke about how wonderful Kerrie was as a person and as an officer. He said, "We are truly blessed for the opportunity to catch a glimpse of Kerrie's life." Talking about her role as a mentor in the community, and that now the entire nation is getting to see what kind of officer she was. She was someone who gave of herself in every way. She was a coach, she was an officer, she was out in the community teaching kids and being part of the community. And he said basically she is a wonderful representative for the law enforcement community for this entire nation, that when people think of officers, when they think of cops, that they know that there is a little bit of Kerrie in all of us.
Overflow crowd at St. John's Church this morning. Overflow crowd also went over to CenturyLink Center where they watched on a big screen. Look at this. This is the cemetery on the left as officers are getting out of their cars to arrive at the cemetery, St. Joseph's in Council Bluffs. And then you've got on the right, 18th and Broadway, car as part of the procession still approaching the cemetery. So even, an hour and a half after the procession began at roughly 12:35, it's now 2:07 that procession continues. And for some it has culminated at the cemetery and the gravesite right there. But for many others, they're still in motion, still heading toward that cemetery. So the procession goes on while some arrived at the cemetery and wait for the ceremony and the burial to begin.
You can see the bagpipe and drum corps right there. Those are men in the kilts right there, and the hearse is right in front of them. So they are all waiting for this ceremony to begin, but again, waiting on a lot of people first. So people are lining this cemetery. Last time there was a funeral this large in Omaha, or in the Omaha area, would have been more than a decade ago, another officer who had passed away. So, I mean, this outpouring of support, we're seeing so many people who are here to support her, to honor her life, to support the law enforcement community. You can keep seeing people in different uniforms filing in, as they get ready for this to begin.
As you can see, many people have their umbrellas up, and it has begun to rain. Sell right over the cemetery at this point. Jim said we are going to get a break from this. How long that lasts, we'll see. But we've seen the spectrum really this morning. We went from 10 a.m. We went from overcast and cloudy to suddenly heavy rain just before the mass of Christian burial. The procession started at 12:35. It was cloudy again, and then the skies opened. So we've seen what has been the gamut of our May weather here in Omaha. Lots of overcast clouds, overcast skies, very cloudy, heavy rain at times, not much of the sun, and hence look at how green the grass is over at St. Joseph's. It's late May in Omaha, what has been a very rainy May, and a lot of these people brought their umbrellas, and they're going to stay right through the tribute, the entire memorial, and say goodbye, a final farewell to Officer Kerrie Orozco.
And maybe is there a chance that we can get a split screen to show pictures of Officer Orozco? I think it's important to touch back and show the face of the woman we are honoring today, that so many people are honoring. You know, Officer Kerrie Orozco right there. You see her with members of her family, her husband Hector, their 2 children, her 2 stepchildren, and then she had a newborn baby Olivia. These are other relatives. That is, again, her husband Hector. So her family, she leaves behind her family. She also leaves behind her mother, 1 sister, 3 brothers. Her father has passed away. But these are the people who are, of course, honoring and remembering her best. There is baby Olivia Ruth right there. She was born in February. Her due date was today, the day her mom is being buried.
All of these pictures show Kerrie Orozco in very, very happy moments, and that's how they will remember her at the Boys and Girls Club, where they knew her as Coach K. Members of the Boys and Girls Club turned out for her funeral today. The team she coached, the baseball team, and they received a round of applause at St. John's for attending and showing support to the Orozco family in this very, very difficult time. No doubt those young little baseball players are learning an awful lot about a police officer, about life and death, all within 6 days. Their beloved Coach K killed so violently, doing her job, protecting and serving others. There's a lot of explaining and process for them being so young as well. One little boy said he went into his room over the weekend, closed the door and cried. Yeah. Because his Coach K was gone. And so there is, as the chief noted, a lot of pain and sorrow today, but he has been invigorated, if you will, by the fact that there have been so many accolades and so much praise for one of his fallen officers, not just here in Omaha, but throughout the country. He mentioned that one of his officers had mentioned he was in an airport over the weekend. The death of Kerrie Orozco came up on the TV, and everybody turned to stand to watch, to find out what had happened, to find out the story behind it. As he mentioned, a lot of pain and emotion, a lot of waves of emotion. He called Officer Orozco a guardian, a friend of the community. And you're seeing that friendship reciprocated today with how many people are turning out to bid her farewell at the very young age of 29 years old.
Father William Bond, during the funeral today, talked about how she was not only a coach, she also rescued animals. So that was another one of her loves, was to take in rescue animals. That she believed in the power of forgiveness. This vantage point right now at Council Bluffs, this is Broadway. You can see how heavy the rain is coming down, the windshield wipers going there on the squads. Father Bond talked about how she believed in the power of forgiveness, that she enjoyed working with people in their moment of need, that she had a desire to make peace. We were talking about it before, that she saw herself not as the judge and jury, but as someone who was to bring in the people, and then it was for someone else to determine, someone else to bring upon the justice, that it was just her job to get these people off the streets if it was believed they might be endangering the public. And she took that job very seriously. She cared a lot about that job. It's a serious job. She was working with the Metro Fugitive Task Force. They put themselves in some of the most dangerous situations. Yet she was a woman who, we're seeing a lot, had a smile on her face, who, you know, she had to be tough in that position, but she also obviously had a softness to her that I think touched and resonated with people she met.
Yeah, very giving nature, as we've heard over the last 6 days. People from all parts of the community really coming forward to sing her praises and give her accolades for the person she was, and the community mindedness that she had, serving others, her desire to make peace, using her time to honor this and to serve in the Special Olympics, to volunteer. In fact, we had someone, a Special Olympics higher up an official, who said, you know, this is one of the rare times where law enforcement is not giving to us. We're giving back by acknowledging her. And there's a live picture from St. Joseph's in Council Bluffs.
Let's go now to KMTV reporter Rebecca Ray, who is live at the cemetery. Becky?
Continue to file into the cemetery. It looks like most of the Omaha police cars are here already. And as you can see, it continues to rain. It's starting to rain a little bit harder, but that is not stopping anyone from paying their respects to Officer Kerrie Orozco. There are hundreds of officers lining the road where she will be, her casket will be led to her final resting place. Again, police officers, sheriff cars, they continue to file in, and after this procession of lights, the public will continue to file in. So it could be still a while before the ceremony here begins. We are live at St. Joseph's. For now, I will toss it back to you guys.
Okay, we continue to take a live picture from St. Joseph Cemetery. We are watching and waiting for the ceremony to begin. As you can see, rain has become extremely heavy. Many of the police vehicles and people have arrived. Many others are still in the procession all the way back to 18th and Broadway in Council Bluffs. And just moments ago, we even had a picture of 10th and Douglas back across the river in Omaha as police cars were still heading over the river, heading to this ceremony. Want to take a picture now of a flower that Jen has and tell you about the significance of that.
So the Omaha Police Department is wearing this flower, this carnation. It has been painted red in the middle to signify the sacrifice that was made by Officer Kerrie Orozco. They also, pinned on the officers, are pointing downward toward their hearts. So we've seen these little details. We're talking about some of the traditions. These are part of the details you'll see on the Omaha police officers. You'll also see Omaha police officers and officers from other departments. If you see their badges, and it might extend, it likely will extend past today. They have a black piece of tape, essentially. It's almost like Velcro around their badges to show that they are in a state of mourning. So these are some of the details, some of the traditions we are seeing. We did see people by the graveside with blue roses or blue flowers. Again, support blue. It's that law enforcement theme. Women officers also put blue flowers in a basket at St. John's today during the funeral. So these little minor details you'll see that just show everyone is supporting and honoring in every way they can.
Yeah, they called it Sisters in Blue at St. John's today, and the fellow women officers processed up the center aisle with the blue flowers, leaving them in a basket for Kerrie Orozco and her family. Some stopped to embrace her husband, Hector Orozco. Many of those were long embraces, as what has transpired here in the last 6 days. is really just now, with this ceremony today and this memorial beginning to set in, wholly the tragic nature of what has transpired in the last week is really beginning now for many to sink in and become very real. Jim, what's the latest on the rain?
Well, the last little bit of moderate showers is actually pushing through the east side of Council Bluffs and is going to be passing over the cemetery here fairly quickly. The good news is that once this band goes by, there's really nothing in its wake. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised the sun doesn't come out for a period of time. But you can see that's part of a line that extends down toward Bellevue. In its wake, there isn't much happening. So they just had this last band of moderate rain to go through, and then that's about it. And it hasn't been lasting that long in any one location. Again, it lasts for about maybe 15, 20 minutes, and then it begins to diminish and move on to the east. So this will be over fairly quickly, and the sun should probably follow for a little while. Craig, Jen?
All right, so by the sounds of it, we should expect some clearing. And as you can see, more and more people filing in. It looks like the ceremony will carry past the weather. And by the time they do begin the funeral itself at the grave site, you would think that we might have some clearing conditions. We'll wait and see.
Can't see who it is, but you do see a priest standing there under the umbrella. So there are some other officers behind him. It almost looks like they will have some sort of service probably to the left. You're seeing that is the hearse right there, the back end of that vehicle. That is the hearse. So there will likely be a service as they bring the hearse to the graveside.
Yeah, good eye there, Jenny. I believe that's Father William Bond. He presided over the vigil tonight, last night, presided over the Mass of Christian Burial today. He's the priest from her church at St. Joseph in South Omaha. And so, as you mentioned, Jenny, there he is right there in the middle of your screen, just barely off to the left with his robes, and it appears someone's holding an umbrella, trying their best to keep him dry at this point, as he'll preside over the religious part of this final farewell.
You can see the color guard there with all of the flags lining that walkway. That is the way that the casket will be brought to the grave. A lot of people are waiting for more and more people to file in. The promising news we did hear from Jim Flowers is this downpour you're seeing right now should subside sooner than later, and hopefully by the time they're able to really start the services, because they are still waiting for people to file in. Again, this procession was more than 450 marked vehicles, so people from all over were coming to be part of this. Reporter Rebecca Ray is there. We have crews throughout the area covering this as part of our coverage. Here's a live look right there. That's on Broadway, and it looks like the rain has quieted down quite a bit, and that's not that far. I mean, you're looking at the vehicles. I'm not seeing windshield wipers going anymore, so it looks like the rain has subsided, so probably working its way right there. I mean, they're not that far away from each other, but the storms appear to be passing.
Yeah, what a different picture that is compared to what we saw with Becky Ray, with water streaming off her umbrella. In fact, let's go to Rebecca Ray, who's standing by with a special guest. Becky?